A lot of players don't realize they are not getting enough power because they're not getting weight on their back leg, so they end up just serving like this. So they're serving all the weights going to the front leg. It's also going to cause you to rush it, and if all my weight's on the front leg, the ball will also go down and anything can happen. Okay, again, you're going to get a lot more rhythm, especially power, if you feel the trophy, if you feel like you're putting weight on the back leg before you're hitting it. Down. Look at my back leg. Down. One more. Putting weight on the back leg. Champions, I want to give you a quick tip without getting too technical. I do this with a lot of my players on the serve. I call it the floating serve. And the reason why I call it the floating serve is because you want to imagine after the serve, like Roger Federer, you're still floating up in the air. Okay, too many players, they serve, they don't realize the head is coming down, the head is coming down. But if you focus on serving, and after the serve, it's almost like you're still floating up in the air with your head, it sorts out a lot of things. So I'm serving, floating up in the air. Serve, afterwards I'm still floating, especially keeping my chin up, floating. So instead of thinking about technique, think float in the air afterwards. The thing that's limiting your power especially, and maybe even your accuracy, is be careful. And a lot of players do this because they're trying to get more kick. Look at my feet, they end up going way too side on. Okay, if your stance is too side on, you are blocking yourself and you can't really get power through the ball. Okay, you might get a little bit of kick, but you don't need to stand this far sideways to get kick. Okay, you're going to lose a lot of power, especially on the first serve. I'm getting them in, by the way, interesting, but I'm stuck and you're hitting around the ball. Okay, so what you want to do is, there's no perfect way. I like to have my back toe more or less in the middle of my front foot or towards the end of my front shoe. Okay, so now there's space for me to actually swing through the serve. It will look more like this. So now it's a lot more comfortable to get my hip through the ball. It's a lot more natural, and so make sure you don't go too side on. It's not beneficial. As long as your feet is correct, your hips are already sideways, so you don't have to go more. Your hips are already sideways, so there's enough swing, there's enough space for you to still get power out of the hips. Starting out with your serve, I know that your coach have probably told you to use the continental grip nice and sharp, but now what happens is, because subconsciously it feels more comfortable, right before you hit, you're changing back. Okay, so what happens is, ball's in there, whoop, you change, and you just feel like you can't control it. Okay, what you need to do is, in the beginning, you need to be obsessed about it. Even if this happens in the beginning, you feel like you'll never get it, trust the process. If you stick with that grip, don't let it slip. In time, this grip is going to feel much better than the old grip ever felt. Stick with it. The problems many players have is they don't realize it, but number one, they're not stretching up their left arm, but more importantly is when they serve, they pull down their left arm. When you pull down your left arm, your head comes down and the ball will go down. So be careful, make sure you're not doing this. Okay, look at my left arm coming down way too soon. It just pulls down everything. I'm overdoing it so you can see the problem. Okay, now the correct way, notice how I'm stretching up my left arm, keeping the stretch for longer than you feel like you should. Stretch. It's also going to give you a lot of rhythm. Stretch. Keep. Guys, look at this mistake players make when they want height on the kick. They get the ball tossed behind them, there's no forward momentum. They get the ball tossed behind them, no forward momentum. You still want the ball toss to be in front. Look where mine bounces. All right, right there. That's where you let the ball bounce in front. So now there's forward momentum, but it's still behind your head, but in front. And now you got forward momentum, and you can hit up. Notice my ball toss is still in front, but behind my head. Look at that lovely kick. In front, to the left, behind my head. Then I got the best of both worlds, forward and up. Boom.